Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today is Q&A Tuesday. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Every week I take some of the questions that have been asked by viewer comments through emails or from Instagram, and I roll it all into an episode to bring you guys the #1 question and answer show about medical coding, airing on Tuesday. So thank you to everybody who submitted their question. If you have a question you'd like to submit for a future episode, comment below or send me an email. All of my contact information is in the description box below. So let us begin. All right, first question. I am an RN with 8 years of experience in several areas. I've been looking to get into coding. I'm looking at courses through the AAPC. I'm planning on doing online, but I wondered if I should look at the most expensive courses or if one of the lesser programs would be more cost-effective for me. So when it comes to programs for medical coding, it's not about the cost. Yes, it is about the cost, but what I mean is the more expensive the course does not necessarily mean it's going to be a more quality product. I have heard many horror stories from students who have paid thousands of dollars and not been able to get very much teaching out of their school. So it really all depends on the quality of education that you are going to be getting for your dollar. This is where you come in, right? And you have to do a lot of question asking and a lot of investigating. I do recommend looking on the Better Business Bureau, obviously, for the school that you're planning on going to see if there have been any issues. But most importantly, talk to them. Talk to the school and find out, do they help you find a job? How hands-on is the school instruction? If it is at your own pace, is there a tutor that can help you? Is there some sort of assistance that way? Do they help you write a resume? That kind of thing. So there's lots and lots of questions that you can ask. I do have a video out that I did quite a while back about questions that you should ask a training school, and I will include that in the description box below so that way you guys can check it out. But yes, absolutely, just because a school is expensive does not mean that the quality of education is going to be there. You have to make sure that you ask what credentials they are training you for. That's just my advice. But if you guys want to know what school I recommend, the only school that I can truly honestly recommend is going directly to the associations themselves, either with the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coders. Both have an online medical coding program, and I will leave the link for a HIMAs down in the description box below. I've gotten many requests for this link because I guess the link that I had posted from before, which was the link that it was, is no longer good. So I'm going to be posting the one that I found today in the description box so that way you guys can check it out if you choose to go with a HIMA. AAPC, I will have to hand it to them. They are really wonderful about being very in your face with their online medical coding program. So yes, just because it's with the association and it's maybe cheaper does not mean that it's going to be less quality of education. So that is something to think about. A lot of times these trade schools are the cost of a car, and you can go to the associations themselves for a fraction of the cost. Just my advice. Next question. Hi, I am beginning to study for my CCS exam and wanted to know, should I get an ICD-10 or ICD-11 for coding? Which book do you recommend to study and work? So ICD-11 is not out yet. We are still in ICD-10. So you are going to want to go with ICD-10. So that is what is being currently used right now. And in ICD-11, which will come up in the future, the programs will be preparing you for that at that time because it will change. The coding will change. So that's just my advice. Next question. Hi, Blue. With pharmacology, what should I focus on when it comes to each particular prescription? Thank you. So when it comes to what you should know about pharmacology, you don't necessarily have to know what it's prescribed for, but you do have to know what that medication actually is. Like, for example, insulin. There's still lots of different brand names of that. There's different brand names for anticoagulants and things like that. So that's what you want to know when it comes to that, not necessarily what it is prescribed for, because it could be prescribed for anything, okay? Well, within reason. But doctors have their way of doing things, and sometimes a patient may be allergic, so they have to use a different kind of medication. So just something to think about. But yes, you do have to know what it is, actually. So next question. Hey, Blue, I passed my CCA exam. Woo! Congratulations. I am relieved, but now I have to start looking for a job as a medical coder. What would be the ideal sites or job agencies that would help me to find a job or entry-level medical coder, because I have no experience? So I have lots of videos out about brand new coders who have no experience and the alternative jobs that you can apply for. There are many alternative positions that you can apply for as a medical coder. And just because they're asking for experience does not mean that you cannot apply for that position. A lot of times people, and I did a poll here a while back, a few weeks ago, where I was asking people how did they get their first job in medical coding with no experience. And some of the choices were that they had a friend that hooked them up, they went through an internship, they applied everywhere until someone took a chance on them, and there was another option. But the one that you had to apply everywhere was the one that most people had voted on, because that is what it takes. Just because the job listing says that they prefer you to have experience does not necessarily mean that you don't need to apply. You do need to apply. It is about getting your name out there. And with medical coding, a lot of times there's not qualified people in the area, so the only way they're going to even know that you exist is if you keep applying. So don't count yourself out for applying for those positions that are asking for experience. Apply anyway, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get your foot in the door. I went through a temporary agency that hired for medical positions. So they had a position for a medical coder. That was how I got my experience going. So that is an alternative that you can look into. But be sure to be proactive in your area. You can look anywhere. Indeed is the one website that I do use when I'm doing the shows about the job listing reviews. So you can go on Indeed. You can go on basically any of them. Whatever website you can find jobs on, always look and see. If you're a member of HIMA, you may want to look at the website and see what all they have available on the website as well too. So that's another alternative that you can go about trying to find a job. But make sure that your resume looks good. Make sure that you have a really good cover letter. And I'm not going to sound like a broken record because I have been talking about this. And I know if you've been watching for a while, I'm not going to keep going through that. But I will leave some helpful videos in the description box of this video, guys. Please check them out, because that is going to answer all of your questions. Just take a look. All right, so next question. Did you spend the same amount of hours studying each week when you reached all the coding aspects, CPT and ICD-10? I imagine the answer is yes, LOL. Just trying to plan around a full-time job, kids' schedules, and family life. Thank you. So I am going to be doing a video about this, about the recommended study time and how you should set it up and that kind of thing. But here's the thing. If you are studying for medical coding, yes, it is a lot, and there is so much to learn, and it's usually in a very short amount of time. And a lot of people tell me, Blue, I just don't have the time because I have a family and I work a full-time job and there's a lot of things going on, so I just never have the time. But you are looking into it for a reason, right? You're looking into it for a reason. And it's not about, well, I'm just going to try to just do this in my spare time. Because if you do that, of course, it's going to take you a lot longer. But having the discipline to say, this is my study time, whether it's 1 hour or 2 hours a day, is what you have to do. There is time. If you truly want to do this, you can do it. Keep in mind that at the time when I was learning medical coding, I worked 2 and 3 jobs, and some days I did 2 jobs in the same day, and I went to school. So I still was able to do it. And yes, I don't have kids, but that doesn't mean that I don't have all the other responsibilities that I need to take care of. And it's just as time consuming. So, I mean, it really all depends on you. And take a look at my schedule now. I work a full-time job. I have 2 channels. I have my YouTube channel, this main channel. It's almost at 10,000. And I have my Patreon channel. That Patreon is a lot like YouTube if you don't know. And I do worksheets there. I come up with all kinds of quizzes and things like that. And I film myself, just me, and I'm talking. So, I mean, that's what I do for that channel. Not only that, I tutor. And there's a lot of other things. Plus, I have my own stuff. I have my own schooling that I'm doing online right now, currently with HC Pro. So I'm doing one of their boot camps. But the reason that I get to do a boot camp, in which I don't recommend boot camps if you don't have experience in coding. I can do a boot camp in coding because I already understand the fundamental basics, which is what you need to do when you do go to a boot camp for coding. But this is for something else. So that's something that when you make the time, you will have the time. And for me, I squeeze in the time. I do these videos, I film, I come home from work, I film for you guys, and then I do my schoolwork. And then I do my tutoring, or I do whatever else I have to do. But I make sure I swing the whole thing. And on top of that, I still study outside of what I do with HC Pro. So if you want to make time, you will make time. And yeah, it is a lot, but it's just temporary. This time of you having to squeeze out time for yourself to study and really go over the books and things like that is only for a few months. Your family will be okay. Your children, if they will not leave you alone to study, recruit them. Recruit them, have them hold the flashcards, and I guarantee you, they're going to do one of 2 things. Children are natural helpers. They want to help. They'll either help you, or they will be like, okay, yeah, I'll see you later. But it's entirely, I mean, it depended upon the situation. So you can recruit your children if that is what is stopping you. Well, I have my kid and I have to watch my kid. Okay, well, if they want to help you, let them help you. They can hold the cards. If they can read the cards to you. And so that way you can get some more time in. There's ways of making time to get in to do things that you want to do. And it's very important, especially if it's something that's going to benefit your family and benefit yourself later on in the future, then by all means, you absolutely should do it. But you have to get on a schedule. And like I said, I'll be doing that video, but being disciplined enough to get on a schedule is going to be the first step. And I know it's the hardest step. And you can say, oh, Blue, it's easy for you. Think about this. I still have to prepare shows. I still have to go to work. I still have to think for work. I still have to do all these other things. So if I can make the time. And you have to get used to that sort of ability to be able to study on the fly. Because when you get into medical coding, you're still going to need to study. I'm just saying. Next question. I am going to be brand new to the medical billing and coding field, and I'm considering a career change. For medical reasons, I do not drive. Could I still be hired as a coder to work from home? Because the pandemic has changed the landscape of new medical coders being hired. Because yes, brand new medical coders with no experience have been hired to do remote coding. But there's always a but in there. But these people have applied at places they have to physically go, and the facility is the one that sends them home. They make the decision to send them home. If you cannot drive and you're homebound, keep in mind that facilities may or may not be willing to work with you to work at home. They may need you to come in on some days for training or for meetings, and you have to be willing to meet them halfway. I don't know what your situation is that you can't drive, but maybe you can get a ride, Uber or something, or a cab, and just be able to go in whenever you do need to meet up at your facility, because it is part of being a medical coder. Yes, it is something that a lot of people can do remotely, but there's a human element of actually being physically there. And a lot of times these providers do need that. And these administrators and these department heads, they understand this. So a lot of times, if they want their coders to be hands-on, this is something that will have to be done. So just remember that when you're out there applying. It shouldn't stop you because there's people that do that all the time. They're able to commute and they don't drive, you know. So, I mean, just look at your situation and look at what is best for you. But yeah, just remember that sometimes they're going to need you to be at the facility. I'm just saying. And the next one, which is the last one. Hi, Blue. I enrolled in a college 6-month self-paced online course for medical billing and coding. After I finish, can I sit for the credential exam with either, a HIMA or AAPC? I like to go with a HIMA as it has both inpatient and outpatient options. Can I get a part-time job after my 6-month course? Please explain. Thank you. So I'm a little confused with the question, the way that it's worded. So I'm going to do my best to give an answer. All right, here's the deal. Programs, medical billing and coding programs are going to tell you what credential you're going to be able to sit for, right? And they will usually tell you that you have a choice between a HIMA and AAPC. They'll say this program trains you for the CCA, which is the Certified Coding Associate, or the CPC, which is the Certified Professional Coder. And both are with a HIMA or AAPC respectively, right? So it will let you know. And if they don't let you know up front, then you need to ask, because there is another association out there that I'm not going to mention. And if the association that they, or the credentials they are training you for, are not from a HIMA or AAPC, that is not a program that you want, because if you want to be a medical coder, employers are looking for a HIMA and AAPC credentials. I'm just putting that out there because if you look on the job listings for medical coders or anybody in the HIM field, when it comes to coding, they are looking for a HIMA and AAPC credentials. I'm just saying. So if you, again, check with your program to see what they're training you for, and that way you can get the answer to that one. The other one is, can I get a part-time job after my 6-month course? Here's the thing, guys. When you are brand new in medical coding, you need to be there full-time. This is not a thing where you can just sort of ease in and say, well, I want to start part-time. No, because a lot of times employers are only going to have part-time positions for people who have experience already. The reason for this is because when you are brand new, and yes, while you may have passed your certification exam, that doesn't exempt you from having questions. You are going to have questions in the beginning. You are definitely going to have questions, because book coding and real world coding are two different things. Before you panic, what I mean when I say this is this. These doctors, they have a different way of wording things. And sometimes they're going to be in the mood to write a certain way. And in other times, they're going to be in a mood to write a completely different way. And the way that they word diagnoses may not actually be in the book. That is why you have to understand your anatomy, medical terminology, and pathophysiology, so that way you can understand what they're saying, because it is acceptable to look at whatever they documented, and as long as it is the same thing in the book, I mean, like a different word, but the same thing, then you're fine. But you have to know these things when you're getting into this. And when you're doing your research, you'll be able to see what I truly do mean. So, but that being said, you're going to have questions in the beginning, and there's going to be stuff that does not make sense. So employers are not going to want to spend time with a part-time employee trying to train, because they want the most out of you that they can get the most efficiently. So that is the reason why, if you look for these part-time positions, they want the people to have experience. Well, Blue, every medical coding position wants you to have experience, more so for the ones that are part-time, because and remote, like strictly remote, because before the pandemic hit, you needed 3 to 5 years experience at least before a remote coding company would even look at you. But it's, again, because there was concessions made. That's why a lot of people that are brand new and starting out are starting out working from home. Sometimes they get trained at the facility and then they get sent home. That's always a possibility too. But for the most part, that's the way that it's worked out for a lot of people in the pandemic and since last year. So just something to know. Like I said, it's really going to depend on where you are and what you're applying for. But don't look for part-time work as a medical coder when you get finished with school and you get your certification, because you're going to set yourself up for frustration. And it's already frustrating enough running into all these positions that are asking for experience, and it's so hard. How do you get experience if no one will hire you? That's why I always tell you guys, if you can't get started right away as a medical coder, then by all means, go for these alternative positions that don't even ask for certifications at all. And the fact that you have been educated and you have a certification is going to put you ahead of the pack. So that's where you can start to build your experience. So that way, when you are ready, you can move on to find your first job in medical coding. That's just my advice. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But I hope that if you found value in this, that you will share it, that you will like it. And if you haven't already, that you will subscribe as we inch our way to 10,000 subscribers. I can't wait, guys. Like, just the thought of it, it overwhelms me like with such happiness, because this is work. It is not just, oh, she just does videos and it's little, 24-minute videos, 28-minute videos. There's a lot of work that goes into this. I share this information freely because this is what I love to do. I have a passion for medical coding. I love the HIM field. And I want you guys to know that there's a lot of self-serving information out there. That's why I try to be as real with you guys as possible. And I just always hope that you guys get that message. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. But thank you for joining me. And I hope you'll join me tomorrow for tomorrow's episode. Same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I will see y'all on the next video. Bye.